Hello and welcome to Support for Stressful Times. And I'm Weiser Cornell, and I'm delighted to be here with you today. Delighted that we get to spend time together getting some support for stressful times. I mean, one thing that even gives some support is feeling that one is part of a community that cares about emotional healing and emotional wellness. Emotional wellness, that's a nice phrase, isn't it? Yeah, what is that about? Well, it means that we're not pushing away our emotions, but we're also not getting taken over by them. It could be as simple as that. Yeah. Oh, good. David just arrived. Now, I can't see you, but I see your names, and I see that 3 people have called in by phone, which is great. Unfortunately, people calling in by phone don't get to participate in the chat, but I'll read you some things from the chat so you can participate at least that way. You know, I got an email from somebody just yesterday, one of the people who often comes to this meeting. She said she struggles with anger. She struggles with anger that wakes her up in the night. And then she has resistance to the anger because she doesn't want to wake up angry in the night. She wants to go back to sleep. And my heart goes out to you if you're here, or if you're listening later, my heart goes out to you. That sounds hard. You know, one of the things that happens in stressful times is that we have challenges to our sleep. And we can even talk about that a bit today. But the story that I just told you gives an example of what I mean by emotional wellness. Because in a state of emotional wellness, we would understand that our feelings are here. They are how they are. And fighting our feelings will not help. So what do you do when you wake up angry in the middle of the night? Oh, well, start by being gentle to yourself, which you could include putting a hand on your heart and just saying, oh, that's hard. You know, it's not an easy thing to do, to have your sleep disturbed by strong feelings. So be gentle with yourself. But next, that part of you that's angry needs you to say hello to it. Hello, wow, you are so angry right now about something. Your role in your inner world, right, the one I want you to identify with, is with the listener, the one who listens, the one who says, I hear you, I know you're there. That's where we want to identify in order to have emotional wellness, in order to have a calmer life, in order to get through stressful times without too much suffering. We want to be the one inside us who's doing the listening, who's being present with the feelings. Now, the truth is, when you're present with how you feel, when you be with how you feel, that's actually the fastest way that it's going to change. So if there's a part of you that doesn't like this feeling, let's see if we can enlist its cooperation in just being with how we feel. It's actually the fastest way for feelings to evolve. Have you ever heard somebody say, have you ever heard yourself saying, oh, I thought I was really angry, but now I realize I'm actually filled with grief? That's what I mean by evolution. When anger becomes grief, grief becomes sorrow, sorrow becomes peacefulness, every emotion is on its way to the next emotion that comes from it. It's evolution. And trying to rush that process by pushing our emotions away. When you push something away, it doesn't. It doesn't go really, and it doesn't change. Okay, David writes in the chat, I've been awakening every morning at 3 a.m. with anxiety. Well, that sounds hard. And sometimes I can't find a place where that feeling is located. It feels like it's all over. What might I do? Well, if you want, one thing I would say to you, I feel anxiety. Where do you feel it? I feel it all over. Well, now you might ask yourself, does it have a center? Is there a place where you feel it the most or feels like the center of the anxiety? That often helps. That way of phrasing the question. Yes, it's all over. And it does have a kind of center in my heart, in my stomach, in my throat. That would be the next thing. And then speak to it, even if you don't know where it is, even if you feel it all over, or I just feel like the whole room is filled with anxiety, you can still speak to it. You can still be bigger than it is and say to it, I know you're there. I sense how anxious you're feeling. Something in you is anxious. A big something is anxious. It got so anxious it had to wake you up at 3 a.m. Must be going through a lot. And one of the ways we want to approach our feelings is with an assumption that they are legitimate. I feel this way for some good reason. Now, sometimes that reason is in the past, right? I might know that the current situation doesn't justify this much anger, anxiety, etc. It might be, I realize, or at least I suspect, that I'm reacting this way, not just because of the present situation, but because of something it's triggered from my past. But that's legitimate too. When we carry burdens from the past, wounds from the past, let's say, and they haven't been healed and resolved, they do get triggered. You know, there's actually a good reason for that. Because if you carry a wound from the past, it is seeking to find healing somewhere. And so it gets triggered, partly because it's an unhealed wound looking to be healed. It's another reason we want to be very compassionate to ourselves when we have feelings. Because we are also being compassionate to younger versions of ourselves that we carry inside as we go through life. Do you ever feel like you're reacting to your life as if you were a toddler or a 6-year-old? You might be. In other words, part of me had a fight with my partner. I felt like I was like a 6-year-old talking to him that at that moment. Yeah, probably was. So talking about being gentle with yourself, understanding that your emotional states have some good reason to be there, and also understanding that your emotional states are evolving. They're on their way to something next if we give them presence and allow them to be how they are. We're going to take a peek at the chat. Christina writes, this morning I found so much grief under the exhaustion. Good, yeah, see? Exhaustion came first, and as you spent time with it, there was grief. Con writes, what do you do with overwhelming loneliness? I'm so sorry that you're feeling overwhelming loneliness. That sounds very hard. But what can we do? We need to be with it. And let's start by saying, I am sensing something in me is feeling overwhelming loneliness. And I am here with that. It feels so big, so hard to be with. I'm acknowledging how big it feels, how hard it feels to be with. See, that process is, it's sensing and acknowledging and staying with, being present to how it is. And it will become something else. Eleanor writes, feels like the pit of my stomach is where my anxiety shows up. Ah, that's good to know. Anya writes, sometimes the exercise makes me so restless and helpless that I can't stay with how I feel. Well, but you are aware that you're feeling restless and helpless. So at least that much What maybe it would help to move, right? It helps to take a walk. And while you're walking, acknowledge, wow, something in me just couldn't sit still. I can be with it now while I'm walking. That might be good. Della writes, I know I shouldn't get anxious with things I can't control. Watch out for that word shouldn't. However, I feel a sense of doom when my son, who is divorced, lost his job. Oh, gosh, that's hard. He lives with us. He has depression. Yeah. You are so worried about your son. And maybe there are practical things you can do to support him, or maybe there are emotional things you can do. Just being able to listen to his feelings without you also getting overwhelmed by his depression. And the best way to prepare for those practical steps is to give yourself some empathy first. So taking time to say, I'm sensing something in me that's really anxious about my son, that's worried about him, that's scared for him, it's really sad for him that he's having to go through this. I'm keeping company with my own feelings for a while. And when you do that, and you can feel that you're bigger than those feelings, the feelings in you start to get some feeling of being met, being accompanied, and then you have more resources then when it comes to sitting with your son, helping him think of things he can do to get a new job or helping him keep company with his depression. This is another thing. We think our feelings are caused by what's outside of us. There's violence out there, there's people we love losing their jobs. Therefore, I feel this way. That's an interesting point because I did say your feelings make sense, they're justified. But the outer circumstances contribute to how I feel. They're never the only cause of how we feel. How we feel is outer circumstances plus who we are, our own unique view of the world, what we've been through, what it means to us. And each person has a different set of meanings inside. I was thinking about that as I was thinking about being with you today. I think these are stressful times, as if everyone feels exactly the same stress. But we do have a global pandemic. And we also have a climate crisis. Serious things that are not yet resolved, and sometimes it feels like they won't be. But that doesn't cause our feelings. It contributes to them. Each person, each one of us has our own reasons to feel stressed that may include global reasons, but our own unique reaction to those global reasons. Serious issues about race and Indigenous people. These are big matters, but each one of us has a unique reaction to it. One of the most interesting things about being with your feelings is discovering your own uniqueness. As you sit with how you feel, you can be curious. What is it about me that feels like this to me? Let's do that together. I've just been talking a lot, but let's also take a little time right now to do a little practice together. So inviting you to take your time to feel your body supported here and now by what you're sitting on. You might also be standing or lying down. No matter what, your body is supported somehow. We're slowing down and just allowing yourself to be aware of your whole body. Feeling your breathing. And being aware in the inner area of your body, especially that area that includes your throat, your chest, stomach and belly, especially that. How are you right now? So in your throat, chest, stomach, in your body, in the feeling of your body, how are you right now? And that includes enjoyable feelings like sense of warmth from connection to others, sense of relief from knowing you're not alone, or there might be anxiety, loneliness, guilt, worry, sadness. How am I right now? What's here that needs some acknowledgement and attention? And when something comes to awareness, when you are aware of something, especially if it's something stressful, I mean, the enjoyable feelings you could just enjoy, the warmth, the connectedness. Yeah. But if there's something stressful, painful, difficult, hard, let's use this language to acknowledge it. I am sensing something in me feels lonely. I'm sensing something in me feels sad. I'm sensing something in me feels anxious. Sensing something in me feels angry. Use that language. And notice what happens when you say it that way. And what I hope happens is that you feel like you are with what you're feeling. That maybe you feel more specifically where it is, and you can also feel like you're with it. Like I'm sensing something in me feels anxious, and I am here with that. You could say to the anxious feeling, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. Try that. It's so nice to do. I'm here with you. You say to the sad or the lonely or the anxious, I'm here with you. This is what we mean by inner relationship. And it is a healing relationship. If you can be with how you feel, it is a healing relationship. It means that there's movement in a forward, new direction, becoming more possible for you. And we were saying that everybody's unique. You have a unique reason to feel the way you feel. So take a moment just to sense, if you've gotten this far with something that you feel, take a moment just to sense, how is this especially me? What is it? It's not just that it got caused by something outside of me, but it's also me. Also my own unique reaction. There's something about me. Another way to say this is, what is it about me that is feeling this way to me? And that's something you can follow along. Taking another peek in the chat. Nancy writes, I've gained so much from doing this in the last few months. Oh, that's so great. It brings me to the here and now, where past and future don't exist. Yeah, past and future are kind of troublesome, aren't they? Worry about the future, regret about the past. But here I am right now with how I feel at this moment, and I can be more present. Nancy writes, with my husband, my pets, my friend. It's powerful. Yay. I'm so glad to hear that. That's really beautiful. Yeah. Catherine writes, I too have been awaking around 3 a.m. And I'm feeling overwhelmed by the intensity of the emotions of all those unhealed wounds. And I just want to give up. I don't feel willing to do any focusing. Yeah. I think things are especially hard at 3 a.m. because we've just awakened from sleep. It's not a very resourced time. Sleep is not a self-in-presence activity. So I just have a lot of empathy when it's hard in the middle of the night. I mean, I can tell you some things you can do, but you probably know them already. Just say, something in me wants to give up. Something in me is unwilling to do focusing. And then say to yourself, I know. You can, if you like, you can borrow the sound of my voice and say it to yourself in this tone of, yeah, I know. It is hard. Kathy writes, something in my body, the frame of my body feels tired of holding me up through it all. Yeah, acknowledging that. I really sense how tired you are of holding me up. So we are becoming emotionally aware, and that takes us toward emotional wellness. Of course, this is a journey, and no matter what, there are times when this is just too hard to do. And we can acknowledge that too. It's just too hard to do all the nice things Anne taught me to do, or my other focusing teachers. Just too hard right now. But above all, right? Above all, be gentle with yourself. I know it is too hard, isn't it? Yeah. Like what I worry about is that people might turn even the nice things we're saying now into a should, where they feel bad. I feel bad that I can't do what I think is a good idea. I feel like I should do it. Yeah. Because the part of us that makes things into should doesn't know how to be gentle. It needs gentleness, but it doesn't know how to be gentle. So you could say, I want to. I wish I could. I'd like to. But let's not say I should. Okay, so I was asking you in the little exercise I took you through to feel what feels unique to you. Eleanor writes, what feels unique to me is a feeling of aloneness in facing fears and anxiety and so on. In this community, that feeling morphs into a feeling of compassion and connectedness. I feel embraced and want to embrace others with my attention. But I guess what you're saying, Eleanor, is that when you're not here, it comes back to feeling lonely. Yeah. But we're still here, even when the call isn't happening. Just saying, just saying. Sonia writes, what is dancing in my mind is, I am good enough just the way I am. Ooh, how beautiful. I love it. I love the word dancing as well. And Sonia writes, and that's true, even when I hear the voice that says I'm not. So nice, so nice. What a gift. That's wonderful, wonderful. So glad to hear that. Okay, Barb is talking about something she's facing. Barb says, I'm sensing my utter helplessness to protect my African American grandsons and daughter and son from gun violence. I feel helpless about that too, Barb. And we lost one boy to guns. Oh my gosh, yes. But surprisingly, the helplessness turns into universal horror that we can lose children. And separately, the awareness that we can choose to live in a war zone or somewhere else where gun violence is less likely. Wow. So Barb realized in our little exercise that there are different things going on and some are controllable. It's not all helplessness. That's beautiful. So glad to hear that. Wow, great. So what did we say today? We talked about emotional wellness. We talked about how that means that our emotions are welcome, but we're not taken over by them. We don't become fused or merged or identified with our emotions. It's not that I am angry, it's that I am sensing something in me is angry, and I can be with that. So that's the opposite of either pushing away our emotions or getting taken over by them. It's the third way. I grew up with only two ways. You have your emotions or you don't. But this is how to be with your emotions and not be run by them. They still get attention, they get gentleness, they get kindness, they get listening, and that enables them to evolve. It enables us to have realizations. And above all, be gentle. Be gentle with yourself. Your body and your emotions are speaking to you, and they may speak to you of what feels good, what feels like pleasure, what feels like support and resource. But they also may be speaking to you of things that are really hard. So be sure to listen, and to listen with gentleness and kindness, like, I know. Yeah. How would you want to be treated if you are full of sadness, you burst into tears, you go up to a dear friend, this is so hard for me. Let's have your friend say to you, I know. Oh, I know, sweetie. I know. That's how we want to treat ourselves. You can say to yourself, I know, sweetie. I call myself sweetie. Well, whatever you would say to yourself, I know this is hard. And that is not self-pity. It's not wallowing. In fact, as you say to yourself, I know, I hear you, you are actually becoming bigger and more resourced also to make clear decisions and do actions in your life. It's brilliant. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for being a community for each other. Thank you again for being here. Bye for now.